The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, it's been a very long time since we've done a video about Keith One-Time Thurman, but you know what? It's 2021, and we will do a video about Keith One-Time Thurman. Now, Keith One-Time Thurman, he recently broke his silence. He had a lot to say about a lot of things going on in boxing. Most notably, Bob Arum. He called Bob Arum a cheap-ass promoter and that he can't afford PBC welterweights. And he pretty much echoed the statements of a lot of boxing fans are feeling about Bob Arum right now, because Bob Arum, despite the fact that he promotes, in my estimation, in many people's estimation, the best fighter in the world, he can't get the best fighter of the world in the world in Terrence Crawford. Those big marquee premium names in the ring that are going to make him a superstar in the sport that he deserves to be. So I like what he said about Bob Arum. Even though I think Bob is a great promoter, I do think Bob can be a bit cheap at times. So I agree with Keith. With that being said, Keith Thurman also called out Errol Spence Jr. He said that Errol Spence Jr. That he wants to fight him, and he questioned his willingness to fight and questioned what kind of fighter he is. So, Keith Thurman, he's coming out swinging. And look, I'm going to put it to you guys like this, 90 seconds into this video. I'm going to put it to y'all like this. Keith Thurman is what the welterweight division has been missing. He really is. Because, right now, when we look at the guys that you would consider to be the top 3 welterweights in the world, we have guys like Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence he's too busy talking about horses and chickens and being on his fucking farm, okay? That's all he can talk about, is being on a farm. Great, fantastic fighter, A-level fighter, but he is on a farm, mentally and physically on a farm. He's not really concerned about fighting the best fighters in the weight class, because he won't fight Terrence Crawford. He's being a diva, and I like Errol Spence, and it pains me to say that, but I'm calling a spade a spade. Terrence Crawford is a guy that can't get fights because of political reasons, and even though I like Terrence Crawford, he's not a guy that likes to talk too much. He doesn't really open himself up to the media too much. And sometimes he's very boring as far as his personality outside the ring. And then Manny Pacquiao, he's not active, and he's probably busy putting someone to death in the Philippines because he's got congressional duties. So the way I see the welterweight division right now, Keith Thurman is what the welterweight division needs. Keith Thurman is what the welterweight division has been missing. And I am praying to God that 2021 is a very fruitful year for Keith One-Time Thurman, because this is a guy that deserves respect. This is a guy that this was the guy that said that he had an O and he wasn't afraid to let it go, and he proved that time and time again by fighting the best fighters available to him. He fought Sean Porter. He fought Danny Garcia when Danny Garcia was undefeated, before Danny Garcia became pretty much a gatekeeper and keeps losing to everybody, because he's just not that good of a welterweight as far as with the elite guys compared to elite guys. Beat Danny Garcia when Danny Garcia was undefeated. Beat what's his name? Sean Porter, Danny Garcia. He fought Manny Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao is a guy that isn't the easiest puzzle to solve, and I believe he began to solve that puzzle a little as the fight went on in those later rounds. And I would love to see Keith Thurman get some wins under his belt in 2021, and I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch, because I think he earned it. I think that Keith Thurman's character in the boxing ring and out the boxing ring has been one of noble character, because everything he said he was going to do, he did it in the sport. He said that he wasn't afraid to let his O go. He said, if you can beat me, beat me. And he tested himself against the best. And he's back. And I'm very excited for what's going on with Keith Thurman, because when you look at the progression of his career, and he had a marvelous progression of his career. When we look at the progression of his career, Keith Thurman, from like when he was beating like Diego Chavez and Bundu and Guerrero and all these guys, it's been a long time since Keith Thurman was one time. Like when he was that guy that was knocking everybody out, like when he knocked out Jesus Soto Cruz and Julio Diaz and all these guys, and he hasn't been able to stop these guys since he stepped up. But I think now that we're seeing Keith Thurman in a position where he doesn't have a belt, he's not in a position of strength to dictate terms. He can't be a diva like some of the other guys right now. I think because of that, and because he did take a loss to Manny Pacquiao, I think the loss makes him better. I think the loss makes him hungrier. And I think if Keith Thurman is really if the energy he showed us on his Instagram live matches the work that he's putting in the gym and the conviction that's in his spirit when he steps in that ring, I think Keith Thurman could steal the show in 2021. I think he could be a guy that reannounces himself to the world as one of the best and premier welterweights in the division. And then I think the division really needs it because, for good, bad, or indifferent, the welterweight division is one of the most overrated divisions in boxing. The fights that people want to see aren't happening due to political reasons. And one of the only guys throughout the course of his career who has shown a proven track record of making those big fights when they're not the most advantageous to him is Keith Thurman, you know? So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this year. I mean, when we look at the welterweight division, I think there's some good fights out there for him. You know, maybe he can go the Sean Porter route and do a rematch with him, because those are two guys that right now aren't tied up with anything. And you got him, you know, you got Mikey Garcia, who he said he wouldn't mind fighting. You got just a lot of guys, man. A lot of fighters in that PBC stable that I think would be a good matchup for Keith one-time Thurman. But most notably, he wants Errol Spence. Errol Spence isn't going to fight Terrence Crawford because we know he don't want that smoke. Errol Spence probably isn't going to get a Manny Pacquiao fight because Manny Pacquiao is more than likely going to fight Conor McGregor. So look, I see Keith Thurman as Errol Spence as that fight to make it in the welterweight division in 2021 for the time being, due to the landscape and how it is now. And it's a fight that's been brewing for a long time. I think it'd be one of those great rivalry fights in boxing because you got Keith Thurman, who isn't very well liked by Errol Spence. Errol Spence was calling out Keith Thurman when he was 15-0, and Keith didn't want to really give him an opportunity at that time. So now that Errol's in the position, he feels like the tables have turned, and he wants to make Keith Thurman pay. So I would love to see that fight because I know that both these guys don't like each other. And I made a video like 4 or 5 years ago where I said that Errol Spence would destroy Keith Thurman if they ever fight, but I don't know, man. The Keith Thurman I think we're going to see this year might be one of the best versions we ever see of his entire boxing career, because of the fact that he's still got plenty left in the tank. He's had time to rest and recoup. And on top of that, he's someone that is one of the most intelligent minds in the division. And he's someone that has a point to prove in 2021. And a motivated fighter, a fighter with everything to gain, nothing to lose, is a dangerous fighter, especially when they're as smart and as talented as Keith one-time Thurman. So, you know, Errol Spence Jr. is one of the best fights out there for him. Maybe Manny Pacquiao rematch if later on in the year could be a possibility. But, yeah, man. Keith Thurman is what this welterweight division's been missing, because this division, for all the talent it has, it lacks substance. It lacks personality. There really ain't no personality in the division, to be honest with you, because all the guys in this division have boring personalities. Crawford, Spence, Pacquiao, everyone, they got boring personalities, and we need Keith Thurman to come here and spice things up. So Keith, BT, Brendan Taylor, the untouchable True School Sports Empire, I'm throwing the ball in your proverbial court, man. Make the welterweight division great again. Make it great again, and make it something worth watching, because it hasn't been too great, to be honest with you, in my opinion. As great as everybody says it is, I don't think it's been one of the 2 or 3 best weight classes in boxing in the last year, in my opinion. But that's only my opinion. You have yours, I have mine. That's what makes this country of America so great, that we have our own opinions. We can disagree, but leave your comments down below. What do you guys think about the return of Keith Thurman in 2021? Who do you want to see him fight next? Let me know all that stuff down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.